need deliberate policies, and we need to act now. In this concluding part of my speech, I would like to connect some dots. Earlier, I spoke about some values that have underpinned my success and helped me to overcome challenges. Risk for appetite, going beyond the call of duty, continuous learning, and being consistent to my career vision. The import of all of these is that it helped me to differentiate myself, which positioned me as a viable candidate for career progress and opportunities. In your career, you want to differentiate yourself in such a way that you are noticeable for all the right reasons, of course. When these opportunities come, you want your name popping into the minds of people because of this or that you did. I know that as women, we sometimes like to keep under the radar. We do not want to rock the boat too much. But if we are to break the bias to ensure equitable representation, we must be willing to put ourselves out there, to differentiate ourselves in ways that we cannot be ignored when those opportunities come. It is important, too, that we stand and bask in our success. Let us not downplay our achievements for the fear of bruising someone else's ego. If we came and saw and conquered, then we must let the world know. The more women see the success of other women, the more women can aspire to greater heights. Let me end with how I started, back to the story of my exchange program as a teenage Ghanaian girl. I spoke about how validating the journey was for my self-confidence. But one thing I didn't mention was how it was also a liberating experience. Flying across the continent, the Atlantic, to an unknown land, thriving and returning was above all so liberating. The feeling that I could transcend the doubts and limitations of my circumstances to explore and realize my full potential completely banished any self-doubt imbued in me an invincible spirit. I became a go-getter. As women, there are many limitations that can stifle our progress in life. These limitations exist structurally in our society, and most importantly, internally in our minds. For us to make any meaningful progress, we have to start by liberating our minds and collectively break down the barriers in our way. We must believe that we are deserving of greater heights. We must believe that Africa, the world, needs women to be at the table if especially Africa is to realize its digital transformation. And we must be relentless and unapologetic in our quest to attain such heights. And together, we must break the bias. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angela, for such an awe-inspiring speech. Honestly, I just feel like going out there and conquering the world. And I'm sure that our participants feel the same way. Thank you so much. I'll just share our key takeaway points from this. You know, you mentioned taking risks, going beyond the call of duty, continuous learning, and consistency in your career vision. Thank you so much, Angela. We're really, really grateful for your time and for all the great work that you're doing to ensuring that Africa, you know, is at the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you very much. Can everyone just say a big thank you to Angela?
Questions?
If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and we would read them out. Okay. Do we have any questions? Well, seems we do not have any questions for now. All right, so I think it's okay for us to move to the next lineup on our sessions. It is my immense pleasure to introduce to you our first success story. You know, and I'll be speaking to introduce her. So we're going to be having Flora join us shortly. She's a front-end developer who works with the HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, and has worked with WordPress earlier. Now, the very unique thing about Flora's story is that she started learning to code at 56, and within a record 1 year, I still find that unbelievable. Within a record 1 year, she's become a professional developer, and I won't let the cat out of the bag. I will allow her share her story with us. So welcome, Flora.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. Do you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, I'll share my screen if that's okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here. The best thing for me to be in such great company and celebrate International Women's Day together. So the theme, as you heard, is break the bias, and in tech, in IT, there certainly is a bias against women. I'm all of a sudden doubting if you see what I see, but
you can see your screen.
You can see my screen? Okay, yes. Yeah. Okay, so the theme, as you heard, is break the bias. And in IT, I understand that it started out as a field where women were leaders, where they thrived. And maybe you've also seen hidden figures. So women played a crucial role for NASA, and there were female leaders, but let me show you, when you Google these days, a typical coder. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the first images that come up. You see a lot of young men, and women will really think twice if they have a place among these guys. At least I did. But I thought, you know, if I can take that hurdle, so can you. So let me quickly introduce myself. So my name is Flora. I'm 57 years old. I'm married to Wessel, and we're blessed with 3 daughters who are all university students. And as you said, in November, I started my first job in tech. So I'm a front-end developer at Cow Manager. That's a software company in the Netherlands. And in the coming minutes, I'll tell you how that all happened, and I'll share my tips. So I've spent my entire life in copywriting, teaching, and translating. So I enjoy exploring new technologies, and I'm a very curious person. I did my studies in the Netherlands, in Leiden. I worked in public relations and sometimes freelance. And I also served in a number of full-time jobs in communication. So I had basically worked 30 years in communications. Well, our eldest daughter was in a university and started coding, and I got inspired. I attended Web Summit. That's a conference where all the important companies like Facebook and Google launch their ideas and products. and where startups compete for funding, where the deals are made, and where the whole world meets. And there was a big emphasis on getting women in tech. So maybe everyone who's interested, look out for conferences like this, because they lowered the price for women so much. It was 1/20th of the cost of the admission of men. So I went there, I was curious, but I didn't take action. I had to convince myself that tech was suitable for me, because I was quite content doing what I did. But as the previous speaker said, I also get a bit bored sometimes. I needed a challenge, but I had also accepted my limits, and that was wrong. So I started coding in the summer of 2020. I attended an orientation on working in IT. And that was interesting. So it was all online, start of COVID. So I learned HTML and CSS, just the beginning, just a little bit. And I became confident enough to apply for a boot camp. But that confidence just disappeared when I was accepted, because it's like the first day of school. I don't know anything yet, and I thought, what have I gotten myself into? But it was okay. It was very intense. Well, we did start again on HTML, CSS, JavaScript would turn out to be really difficult for me. The React framework, and I also did WordPress. The whole experience was, to me, pretty hard. The previous speaker talked about learning to learn, a continuous learning. It was a big change for me, but I was also supported by my family with this. I didn't feel like a great success by the end of this boot camp, to be true. But nevertheless, I wrote an email to co-manager and to ask for a meeting. And what do you know? They said, well, do an assignment, learn a new framework. So instead of React, it was Vue.js, and build a website with it. So I did that within a week. The documentation is excellent. So anyone could do that, I think. And they offered me a 6-month internship. And maybe nice to say that my mentor is African, and he is 30 years old. So I was very pleased with that. And then they offered me the job. I work as a front-end developer, and I mostly solve bugs. So I won't tell you that I build all these things, but I know my way in the solution. I work with Vue.js, Bootstrap, HEGrid, CSS, and JavaScript. So for the advice that I have to offer to all new coders, before you start learning, wait, how can I make this disappear? I cannot read my text. So before you start learning, get your hands on a laptop, of course. Then ask yourself, also, do I have what it takes? Is tech a good fit with me? And the reason why I tell you is that it's very hard, for instance, if you don't like criticism or you get easily frustrated. Getting unstuck is your job as a developer. So you're continually stuck. You're continually thinking, okay, what do I do and how do I solve this? And so if that's a fit with your character, then it's wonderful. Also do your research on what kinds of jobs there are, and get to know the industry. A very good tip from my daughter was follow tech Twitter for resources, opinions, commiserations, and encouragement. So after the orientation, you will have to go at least through these 3 steps. Discover the areas and choose where to start your front. So for instance, front end, maybe you like back end, but there's also WordPress or the cloud or Salesforce. If you're working with the different fields, what gives you energy? So, and then maybe it's good to choose one field and then go deeper. The third element is something that you shouldn't wait for until you're, past number 2. It's something to do immediately, document and connect. So that's a preparation to get your first job. And I was very active with that on LinkedIn, for instance. People really go wild for the ups and downs of newbie. And that's really hard to imagine because you're sitting there and you make ugly things and you fail and you fail and fail. But every fail is a learning opportunity. And you will discover that that's really interesting to talk about. Okay, so that's step discovering and making a start. So my tips are that for the front end, at least, and parts of it has back end as well, that there are a lot of good free or almost free opportunities. So I will share a few ones. So I'm a huge fan of Free Code Camp. I was already coding for 4 months when I found this. I don't know how. First of all, it's free. So don't ask me how, but it is. You register on the website and you learn everything from the beginning. So you start with HTML and CSS and then progress. So you have a problem that's presented on the left, a sandbox on the right, your buttons for submitting, resetting, and getting help and the solution. And then on the bottom right, you will see what's going wrong if you are doing things wrong. So for me, that was great to work with. It's very structured. Then there are also about 8,000 tutorials, and I can recommend that. What's also great is that you can receive a certificate when you complete a section, and that's rewarding for you, and also a great way to show your progress to the world when you show it on when you post it on LinkedIn or Twitter. Then the Udemy course. This sounds maybe strange, but everyone does that, and everyone purchases more than one, and it's hardly finished. But this one here with Angela Yu really made things click for me. So that's why I want to mention it. I was very happy at that time to have someone explain things in a way that I could understand. And don't worry if it takes a while for the information to stick. Remember, you're learning new skills and knowledge, and it may take a while. And what's important to know here also is don't feel ashamed if someone else goes faster. Everyone's different and you're on your own path. I also want to mention WordPress, and that was, it's not coding from scratch as the other things I mentioned, but it is another world out there. And if you have a marketing background and a keen eye for detail, and if you can translate the customer's wish into a product, this is really also a very good choice. It's also great to make your own blog to document your progress and your journey. In my experience, it's WordPress is not as valued among developers, but just ignore that because it could make you a very good living. Going back to the 3 points. So the first was discovery, and then you want to go deeper. You have to see what gives you energy. So choose what you like and go deeper into that. So maybe you like CSS like me. You can make beautiful designs. Everything moves. It's becoming really pretty and really aesthetic. And not everyone likes this. So JavaScript developers have a very hard time centering divs. But do whatever you like best and become good at it. And there's always a place for you. Maybe JavaScript is your thing and not CSS. Just get better in what you're doing. check out what the industry works with and what kind of new technologies there are, and start building things. I also want to say that when you start working, of course, it's not possible to just say, I do CSS. You cannot be a diva. With all that diving deeper, you have to learn how to swim. Because if you want to perform at work, you have to master certain things like Git. That will be a headache. Or you won't be able to work in a team. And even if you don't like JavaScript, as I do, you will have to practice. And that's what I do every day. So AdaBit is a very good website for that. So then for me, number 3 is also very important: to get a job, start documenting what you do. Go on Twitter, use the hashtag 100 days of code, write a blog, and you will get a lot of energy from that. Maybe some other speakers will touch upon LinkedIn, but I just wanted to mention it. It's important as well. So update your profile to programmer immediately, rewrite your profile and share your successes, and be sure to post original content. And that will be very important leading up to applying for a job. It worked really well for me, I have to say. Then getting a job, you notice that I told you that I work for Cow Manager. My eye fell on this company because, well, I really like cows, and I'm from a farmer's family. My grandfather was a farmer and my uncles were farmers, so I was really enthusiastic about their software. It's an earring for or a sensor for cows that they wear in their ear, and it measures temperature and movement, and they do all kinds of interesting things with that, so that the well-being of cows is improved. So I was very enthusiastic, and that was what got me the job, because they said you were so enthusiastic. And it's a fact, you know, people can teach you to code, but they cannot teach you how to be enthusiastic. So that's the situation I'm in now. I'm still learning, but I'm still optimistic and enthusiastic. And of course, you have to see if that company pays well, and you have to learn how to negotiate. That's also not bad to do a course on that. And so that this concludes my my presentation. I think, yes, we can break the bias, and I would say go for it, Pawen. For everyone who's listening, pick up a free resource and start coding.
Okay. Thank you, Flora. Thank you so much.
Okay.
A round of applause.
Welcome.
Amazing, inspiring. All right, participants, please send in your questions. Okay, we have a question here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, from Abiodun. Abiodun says, hello, I'm a tech enthusiast. Please, I need an explanation on these things, front end and back end.
Oh gosh, front end and back end. Well, I don't have the exact wording ready, but front end is basically what you what you see, and the back end is the data you're getting. So for instance, in the solution that we have at Cow Manager, there every cow, so all million cows that are served with this software, they have a sensor, and it's all sent to this. All the information about the cow is sent to the cloud, and that's where the data is. And then that data is injected into the whole structure of what you see on the website. So, but I'm not very knowledgeable about the backend. But
Thank
this
you.
is I just think of it as what you see on your screen, and then that's your front end.
That works.
Your
That works.
buttons and your headers and your things like that. Yeah.
That works. Simple enough for all of us to understand.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I think you touched on this question from Nkem, but I'll just repeat it. So probably you want to elaborate further. She says, how can we discover which area of tech that we like best?
It's just a matter of starting. And I think starting coding, so starting with, as I said, the free code camp, then you start really with the basics. And then at the same time, be interested and look around, maybe also YouTube. I didn't mention YouTube, but there's a ton of tutorials. I found that hard, but I prefer in my learning, I prefer to see it written down. But the nice thing about tech, I think, is that people like to share their knowledge. And I don't know any other field where they do that. So go on YouTube and look for tutorial and then your subject.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Tabitha, and she says, hello, Flora, very impressive transition into tech. My question is, when you started your transition process, at what point did you start applying for jobs? And what indicators showed you that you were ready to apply for jobs?
Well, I have to go back to the other speaker who said risk-taking. Honestly, she said it really well, because apparently for 30 years, I was not taking many risks. And then I started, and then I thought, well, I might as well, be a total failure, but I will just have to, I have to present myself somewhere. This is all nice on my personal computer, but I will have to try sometime. And I gave myself permission to fail. And that is something that really worked for me, because apparently I had been a perfectionist and I didn't want to fail. And now you fail nonstop when you code. And you hear, I had an interview with my boss the other day, and I was so surprised. And he had been coding for 20 years. And he started telling me his mess ups, his mistakes, his blunders. And I thought, what are you doing? But he just wanted to let me know that everyone fails. So, you might as well join a company doing it.
Right.
And my process, it was just writing, okay, I applied for 2 jobs. And then, that was it. Yeah, so just give yourself permission to fail.
Okay. I think we can link this to the question from Bilkis Belu, that says, what are the challenges of changing jobs, and how do you regain or renew your passion for learning when it wanes? So I know you've answered a part of a question, taking risks, but there's a second part to that question that says, how do you regain your passion for learning when it wanes?
Okay, it wanes. It does wane sometimes, because, well, okay, I'm not so good at JavaScript. And I'm really busy in my, I work 36 hours a week, and I need to do that. And then I try to procrastinate. I push it away and think, I'm too tired, I don't want to do it. But I had to, I mentioned it to my boss, and I said, I need to get better. So I made a commitment with that. And then, so that's in my KPIs, the key performance indicators. So I know that in June I will be, I will have to have made some progress with it. And it's also in my, as a ticket, I have it, for my work. I am committed to do this, even if I don't want to do it. And then if you do that in the morning, then you have a very good day.
Sure.
You know
Eat
the
that frog.
expression. You know the expression. Eat your frog in the morning.
Yeah, eat that frog.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you, Flora. So, Bilkis, I believe this has answered your question. I would have loved to ask, there's so many questions pouring in, but we have to go. Before we go, I will just take this last question. Apologies to the participants. We need to move to the next session. So the last question I'll be asking you is, Temitayo here says she had her first attempt at negotiating salary, and that she felt some regret, and then her question really is, how were you able to negotiate properly knowing that you didn't have years of experience in tech? So for newbies, yes.
For newbies, yeah, that is difficult because you don't feel like you are worth much. But at least in the Netherlands, there's a shortage. So that's a good starting position. And I would say go on Twitter and read what people are writing about negotiation. And sometimes be bold. Never say what you earned before. And yeah, there are a lot of tips, but time is too short to say that here. Yeah. But it's also good to of course talk to someone who already has a job, or look at glassdoor.com or something. Glassdoor.
Yes, Glassdoor.
Yeah, so you kind of get an idea about what is reasonable.
All right.
And then renegotiate later.
Okay, I hope you got that, Tayo. Renegotiate, try again. It still ties to taking risks, being willing to fail until you get it right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I add something? I follow someone on LinkedIn, and her company is called Women in Negotiation, WIN. And I attended a seminar of her once, and it was excellent. So it's free to follow. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
on
much.
LinkedIn, right?
On LinkedIn, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So everyone, take note of that. Follow Women in Negotiation on LinkedIn. Also, check out Free Code Camp, so you can get started on learning how to code if that's your area of interest. Thank you so much, Flora. Key takeaways were, discovery, choose what you enjoy, choose what gives you energy, go deeper, and document your journey. Very, very important. I'm so glad that you came, and thank you for sharing your story.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. It is. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll be moving straight on to our next success story that will be told by Samayah Adegbite. So let me just give you a bit of a background on who she is. She is a 14-year-old software developer, keynote speaker, YouTuber, STEM promoter from Lagos, Nigeria. Yes, I said 14 years old. She's the founder of Kresu, a firm she founded to improve the visibility of business in the tech space. She also co-founded the Girls Techie, a nonprofit organization that is geared towards believing every child should have the knowledge of STEM. I don't know if we have her on board. Samayah? Okay, we have Samayah here. So Samayah, can you unmute your mic and just introduce yourself? Let's give you a warm Women in Tech welcome.
Okay, hello everyone.
Hi, Samayah.
Okay, so please can you give me some seconds trying to get my screen to show?
No problem.
I'm coming.
Okay, so while we wait for Samaya, if you have any questions for her, I definitely would have a lot. You can just type them in the Q&A session and we will be glad to take your questions. Apologies for the questions we couldn't take. We will try to send them to the questions for Flora, additional questions. We'll try to send them to her and see if she can answer them later on. But if you have any questions for Samayah, please apply, just put it in the Q&A section and we will take it up. Okay, while we're waiting for Samayah, maybe we can take more questions, Flora, if you don't mind. Flora? You need to unmute your mic.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You hear me? Yeah.
While we wait for Samayah, probably we could take some additional questions.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so someone here said, her question is, working in tech takes time. How do women take up a role and still manage the home simultaneously?
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, so she says, how do women take up a role in tech and still manage the home simultaneously?
Still manage the home.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
so that's a bit of it.
I am very spoiled because, yeah, it is true. Do you know what happened in the beginning of 2021, 1st of January? My husband retired.
Oh, wow. Voila. Problem solved.
For me, but I can totally understand. I'm in a very privileged position with this because he cooks, he doesn't clean, but he he does the shopping and everything. So, but I can hear your concern. It's very hard, and of course, also my children don't live at home anymore, so it's easier. In my position, it's easier. But I would I would advise not to get discouraged, to take it one step at a time. Because I also said, you have your personal journey, and someone else will do it differently. Sure. And you have your talents, you have your time, you have your energy, and if you in your unique situation, if you can just do something every day, then it's a success. Then you will learn. Yeah.
I would like to chime in here because I've also been working in tech for over 20 years now. And I've talked to a lot of women also working in tech. And I think the answer to this question very much depends on where you are in tech, really. Because there's so many different jobs and there's jobs with a lot of flexibility. Like in my case, I have been working remotely and flexible in a hybrid workspace for over 12 years now, which means that there is the possibility to integrate your private and your work life much better than in a classic job. You don't have to be in the office from 9 to 5, so you have the ability to maybe make a quick lunch for your kids or wash some clothes and do stuff like that. Of course, I also feel that men should do their part here, but I would want to say that you have to remember that jobs in tech can be very flexible and very different from classic jobs. And a lot of them give you the opportunity to actually integrate both of these things better.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Very insightful. Thank you so much. All right. So maybe while we wait for Samayah, we can have Yotsna take her session. Yotsna, are you ready?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Yotsna. So glad to see you. Okay, let me just do a brief bio of Yotsna. Let's give her a warm welcome. Thank you so much, Flora, for bailing us out. So glad. Okay, so Yotsna is the co-founder and CEO of SpaceSense. She started the company with Sami Yakubi after observing that satellite images could have hundreds of applications in multiple industries, but that the complexity to get information out of these images was extremely high. This was an urgent problem, especially since satellite imagery is one of the most important technologies to mitigate climate change. SpaceSense, her company, aims to solve this problem, and its mission is to make satellite imagery analysis simple and accessible to all industries. Now, someone on one of our participants may be saying, wow, that's a lot. So I would give the floor to you so you can tell your story the way nobody else can.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for the introduction. I know it sounded very complex, but when I started the company, the goal was really simple. One of the situations that I saw was that there's this nonprofit organization called Give Directly, and they were really struggling to support on-ground flood after a flood. So in a region, there was flooding situation, and they were really trying to help on the ground. And the only way they knew where to go help was coming from media. And for me, it was insane. The satellite imagery, there are some satellite imagery which was completely free to use from European Space Agency and NASA. And it is not new to create flood maps to know where is the maximum impact and where should you go help. And for me, it was not acceptable that something so powerful, a technology which is right there, sitting right there, could not be used for something as important as helping people. And that is one of the reasons why I ended up starting the company. But let's start with how did I get there? So for me, growing up, I was fascinated by airplanes, fighter jets, and I really wanted to fly them. And so I felt that, okay, I'm going to be a fighter pilot. But then as I grew up, I had power in my eyes, but then if I have that, I cannot be a fighter pilot. And that was the only pilot I want to be. I didn't want to fly civil aircrafts. So then I said, okay, if I can't fly them, I will learn how to make them. And that's why I felt that, okay, I'm going to do engineering, and very specifically, I'm going to learn how to build these planes. And so I did my engineering in aeronautical engineering. This was in India. And actually, it was those 4 years of my engineering helped me learn so much about myself and what I love doing. And I took up every opportunity I got to learn, even outside of my school. Definitely, I was fortunate to be in a school that gave me those opportunities. But one of the opportunities that I got to myself was an internship. And I have to tell you, getting an internship after less than 2 years of engineering in India was a nightmare. No one would take me, or they would be like, oh, you don't know anything. But then I kept going on and on. Maybe I think I applied in 150 places before one person accepted me. Yeah, they were like, what do you even know? You just did 2 years of engineering. But then I persisted. So this team, what they did was they were trying to build stoves, biomass stoves, so that they could be placed in rural areas in India to improve how they do their cooking, so that they don't get respiratory problems, and so it's safer for households to cook compared to how it was. So in my 2 months of internship, for them, I built a stove which is portable. So far, it was something they would build out of brick and cement and try to, go to every house and do that, which was not sustainable. So I helped them build something they could assemble. They could just sell it in the market anywhere. Anyone could sell it, and anyone in the village can just go buy it and set it up, and that's good to go. And it was super interesting to learn, and that's how I started learning design thinking. How do I design technology with the user in mind? It was super fascinating. But what really impacted me the most is few years afterwards, I got in touch with the company, and they told me that the portable stove that I built was today distributed across many, many villages in India and in the south of India, and that actually improved their everyday health. And they were, in fact, it was such a success that they were funded by a lot of nonprofits to actually give it away for free. And that really struck me. I felt that the work I did, even though it was for 2 months and I was more interested in learning the technology, the impact it was able to create, it really motivated me. And that's when I realized that my passion was really to use technology to solve people's problems. And I felt what is missing now is I'm still very curious to learn more. I don't feel I know a lot of engineering, so I want to continue learning more. But at the same time, I also want to learn how can I bring this technology to the hands of everyday people and to solve their everyday problems. So to that, I was like, okay, I don't know how to do it. I'm going to try to learn this. So I came to France to take up my master's. So I had my course that was 50% engineering and 50% about entrepreneurship, and it was between my school in France and another school in California. It was UC Berkeley and Polytechnique in France. So I think that's where I got my foundations about how to build companies, how to build a technological company. And I learned quite a lot by just trying and doing it myself. And it was around that time that I discovered machine learning, artificial intelligence, and it completely blew my mind, because just by learning about it, I realized that this technology can completely change every industry, the way it works and what it can do what you can do within every industry. And I really had to learn this. So I took up another master's within Polytechnique in France to understand and learn more about machine learning. And I got my job with Airbus, and I used machine learning and artificial intelligence to basically help create autonomous flying vehicles. So all my projects were really futuristic, did not help anyone today, but it's like was the stepping stone for maybe what planes would look like in 20 years. So it was definitely fascinating for me as an engineer, but it definitely wasn't. I felt something was missing. I felt I was not creating any immediate impact. And so in my free time, I kept learning different things, exploring different things. And that's when I came around, I got discovered to satellite imagery, the world of satellite imagery. And I saw this sudden shift that was happening in the technological space for satellites. Satellites have been around for over 30 years now. But only in the last 4 or 5 years was this technology opening up and telling everyone that it's not just for the defense companies, it's not just for the government, large governments, but it's for all of you. All of you can use this technology, all of you can benefit from it. And they were making this push. And I knew with machine learning, this can become a real reality where we could really benefit from and solve that problem, where I saw with the flood situation, where this could really, that NGO could have easily used this technology and machine learning to quickly identify which houses were the most hit and where should we first go help them, and without needing to be completely unaware. So I felt that and I felt there was an opportunity, but I wasn't sure. So what I did, again, still working at Airbus all this time, I went around and talked to a lot of people, these nonprofit agencies, environmental companies, agriculture companies, retailers, bankers, a lot of people to understand, do you know this data, it's sitting there, this technology, satellite data, you can really use and benefit from it. Do you know that? If you know, why are you not using it? What is stopping you from using it? So I did that for over a year. I built few prototypes for what could be a very good solution. And I think over a year's time, what I realized was a lot of them have the idea that, yes, satellite data could be useful for me. It would be super useful if I could do this and that. But since it was not something they always used in their business, they didn't know where to start. And they did not have the necessary specialized skills within the team to actually do it. And I said, okay, so I'm going to start this company where I'm going to make it super easy for anyone to benefit from this technology. And for me, the most interest was today for climate change. And I felt that today, to be able to do anything for climate change, you need to be a PhD doctor is sitting in a lab trying to do something very complex. And maybe there are like 10,000 people trying to do that. But by making this satellite data and machine learning together, this technology, in a way that any data scientist can use, and there are millions of data scientists today, and if I can put this in their hands and say, you can really play with this now and create solutions for climate change. So instead of those 10,000 data scientists or 10,000 climate scientists, it's going to be 1 million people across the globe trying to solve 1 million problems all at the same time. And that way it would give us a much better chance for ourselves and for our world. So yeah, so that's what keeps me going every day. The company is 2 years old. We are 12 people. And within the 12 people, we are from six different countries, all in France today, but we are from 6 very different countries, and we're very proud of our diversity. And we hope to continue this way. So that's about me. A few things I wanted to share with you in terms of tech careers and the opportunities in tech. One thing I would say would be that if you are not very early in your career, or you're somewhere in your career and you're looking to make a career shift, it might feel a bit daunting thinking about learning something completely new, something you've never done before. But I'm telling you, tech made it even easier to use tech and have a career in tech. It is easier than ever to have a career in tech, easier than ever to learn something new within technology. There you have internet, and that is all you really need, and some good guides, which is what this part of this program is about, which you will get through this program. Have a good mentor for yourself and internet. That is all you really need. And have some patience and courage and belief in yourself, most importantly, that it's a matter of few weeks before you become super comfortable, and you will work on it like a pro. I can guarantee you that. And the other thing I wanted to touch a little bit upon is, while all these years in tech, or even while studying in engineering, one thing I saw was, as I went through each stage of my tech career, let's say in engineering, there were very few girls going from school to engineering school. Already there were very few girls. I go into aerospace, much fewer number of girls. And I go into my company in aerospace, even fewer. And you look, I was lucky enough to be in the middle of heart of the company. So Airbus is a huge international company, and once you go to a certain level in the CXOs, the heads of departments, and so, the number of women keeps reducing drastically. But then it's always surprising, why does that happen? Growing up in school, it was always the girls that were first in the class, first in everything. What happened in this process? And so it was quite confusing, but I didn't really understand why. But for me, one of the important things that inspirations that kept me believe in myself were to see more women in the top. Maybe just the one or two I see, but those one or two people in the top helped me believe that, oh, I can do this too, you know. And that is why it's more and more important to have more women in tech, to show that it's not a unique skill. Everyone can do this. Women, you don't have to be a man or a woman to be good at something very specific. And luckily at that time, the CTO of Airbus was a woman. It was the first time in its history that they appointed a woman. And I got to have a direct conversation with her. And she herself realized that, yes, there are very few women and you need to bring in more women. And what she did when she joined as CTO, she actually brought up a lot of women up in the positions which were, well, much higher positions than before. And she also started a certain initiative about unconscious bias, so which is there in industries all the time, but you need to acknowledge there is an inherent bias, and to acknowledge it is the first step towards removing that bias. But that's not the important part. The important part is we need more women in tech to make it feel that it's normal, it's nothing challenging. And more importantly, you today, it doesn't matter you're taking your first steps or you're making a little bit change in your career, you need to believe in yourself. And the people who are working where you want to go work, they are not very special from you. They are maybe a few months ahead of you, a couple of years ahead of you, but you can get there. And more importantly, do not be afraid to take up challenges. You don't need to have 100% skills of what they're asking you to actually apply for that job. You apply for a job where you see this is interesting for you, you can learn and grow from it, and you can also add value to it from your perspective. Even if you meet 50% of it, that's good enough. You need to have the confidence and show the confidence that you're going to learn the remaining 50%, but you're adding more than 100% of your perspective and your skills to actually do a much better job in that new role. And that is something I encourage every girl I meet, because I see that a lot. Women usually don't apply to jobs unless they are 100% sure they're really good at it already. Don't do that mistake. Apply for opportunities where you want to go learn and grow, and not that you've already solved it. So that's it on my end. I'm really open to any questions you have.
Thank you, Yotsna. Thank you so much. That was insightful. Thank you so much. And one of the things that I can really take away from your session is the fact that we have to constantly challenge ourselves as women, be willing to take up new opportunities. And I also like the fact that you try to identify the challenges that are going on in the world and how technology can solve those problems, in a way that is easy for everyone. So it's more or less like you're pushing an all-inclusive agenda for technology. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you have any questions for Yotsna, please put in the Q&A section, and we'll be happy to take them. Okay. Applause. You have a lot of fans. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very happy I got an opportunity to talk today. Thank you all.
Okay. We have a question here. What tech program can one create to help people with autism?
I don't have a direct answer, but I do believe there are a few programs. It's not about which exact tech program, right? Because the tech is quite vast and diverse. But what you can do is look at a few programs and see how can you enable an autistic person to be able to become good at that. It's about enabling, so they might need special equipment possibly, and also help them understand, is it the more creative side of it that they might be interested within tech or something else? And we might need to develop certain tools. I'm very sure there are many companies that are working on such tools, but I would recommend you to have a look at those tools and try to start with one program, one specialty in tech that they can get started with.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, we have a question from YouTube, Adedolamo, who says, to be a UI UX designer, where do I start?
I would say this conference. I think following this conference, there's a program and there is a tech, there is a team around UI UX. So at least they'll get you started, but with the mentor today, and you can identify a ton of online content from where you can get started even for free. And that would be your best bet to get started. And for tech, what is fantastic is there is a global community. So not only can you learn for free from this global community, but you can also work for the whole global community. So I would say start with having a mentor, because internet is quite diverse and you won't know where to start. So start with a mentor in this program to guide you through where to start, and it's all on the internet otherwise.
Okay, thank you. We have a pretty specific question here from Neka. She says, how do I apply tech in my business as a food processor?
Oh, that's a super interesting question. I really appreciate you asking that. So as a food processor, there are different avenues where you can use tech, and it very much depends on what are you trying to improve. So it can be in terms of operations. There are different ways how you improve your operations. There are different ways how do you monitor what is happening more real time, so that you could reduce your operating downtimes and so and so. So there, those are one avenue, and the other avenue can even be to look at showing that your business is more sustainable or more green. So there are different ways to do that in tech itself. So it really comes down to your business. I would encourage you to understand where is it that you want, what is it that you want to do, what is your business goal, and then try to look at avenues that would help you do that. So I think doing that is first. And if you really feel you don't know where to start, feel free to contact me. I would be happy to chat with you.
Thank you. So you'll be dropping your contact details, probably LinkedIn, towards the end. But before we do that, I would like to bring Mary on board. I think she has a few thoughts to share with us on the question about autism. So Mary, you have the floor.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, can you hear me? Okay,
yes.
So talking about the autism question, asking about the question tech program, I would say mixed reality. I was privileged to have an idea of autism because I did a research on that use of digital twin for dementia, and I know that dementia patients they have attention deficit that is the symptoms is quite the same with autism. So if you can go into mixed reality, that's mixed reality is virtual reality, and what's it called, AR, VR, you know. Yeah. If you can go really into that, you will really be successful. And to be on point with that, I want us to be dementia, autism, all the ADHD, attention deficit, and all those related symptoms is what we really need now. As in, apart from cancer, is really killing people now. It's really not killing them, but it's really disturbing them just because of the lockdown, COVID lockdown. So most specialists, they've lost the contact of what's it called, the symptom follow-up symptoms, the symptom follow-up with the patient. So if you can go into mixed reality. And another thing, if you now want to go into data scientists, talked about the chatbot that is relating with them very well. those are 2 points I think I want to add. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mary. Thank you for that. Okay, do we have any further questions? We have a comment from Blewa. I'm so sorry if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. So she says, understanding what exactly is the problem you want to target and the gaps, in existing technologies will help, in addition to what Yotsna has said. All right, so Yotsna, if we want to connect with you after, this webinar, how can we reach out to you if you have additional questions as well?
So LinkedIn is a very good starting point. And yeah, I can also share my email ID with you to reach out to me.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's give her a warm applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't know if Samayah is ready now for us. Samayah, are you ready for us? Right, we have her here. Drum roll. Okay, thank you, Yotsna, once again. So we have Samayah here. Like I said earlier, she is a 14-year-old software developer, keynote speaker, YouTuber, and STEM promoter from Lagos, Nigeria. She's the founder of Cresu, a firm she founded to improve the visibility of business in the tech space. She also co-founded the Girls Techie, a non-profit organization that is geared towards promoting the fact that every child should have knowledge of STEM. She's fascinated with artificial intelligence and aims to contribute in the tech space greatly. She loves building projects and connecting with like-minded people. Let's give a warm welcome to Samayah. Welcome. Oh, can you unmute your mic? I can't hear you. Seems that we're having a little bit of Samayah, can you just try speaking? Let's see if we can hear you. I don't know if anyone else can hear Samayah. Just to confirm if it's okay.
No, we can't. We can't.
All right. Samayah, maybe you may want to check your microphone or something. Let's see if.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry for that. Thank you guys for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. So, you guys, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, but there's a bit of a background noise from your end. So you may want to check your microphone again. All right, so while we wait for Samayah to do that, I would like to, I don't know if Flora is still here, if you can share your LinkedIn details, your contact details, so that if we want to reach out to you after today's webinar. I know that a lot of people are fascinated about your story, same for Yotsna. And let me just reiterate some of the points that she had mentioned. She mentioned the need to have patience, courage, and to believe in yourself. And I think it's really important for us to know that it's not, it may not be a sprint, so to speak. Everyone's journey is unique. So you just have to be willing to put yourself out there and be consistent. I'll borrow a leaf from what Flora said, that even when you have, a very busy schedule, try to do something every day. It may not be, significant, but with consistency, you find out that you've built up, your competence with time. And then, Yotna also mentioned you need to find out, you need to learn to find out areas that you want to improve. So I would just link that to the question regarding applying technology to the food processing business. You need to find out what particular aspect of food processing you want to improve. You would see that in her conversation with us, she mentioned specific questions, global issues that we're facing, climate change, and how technology can be leveraged in solving those problems. So beyond just, learning technology, it's also good to look within your environment, look at the world, what's going on, what can I do to help, or what can I create to support, the innovations and solutions in solving these global problems. I would reiterate the story about what she created, that has helped so many homes in India, just within a space of 2 months. And we still tie it to being able to take risks. She also mentioned the fact that you don't have to have 100% competency before you apply for certain roles.
Hello.
So yes, Samayah, we can hear you now.
Okay.
But there's still that feedback interference. Let's see if we can, you can just share your story with us. Let's see if
Okay.
we can make do.
Let me share my screen.
Hey.
Can you all see my screen?
I can. Please confirm if you can see her screen.
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, so hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you guys for inviting me. Again, I would like to thank PAWAN for inviting me again to share my story. Okay, so like she said earlier, my name is Maya and I am a software developer, a keynote speaker, YouTuber, a female tech advocate, and a STEM enthusiast. I'm also a digital literacy advocate. I'm going to be explaining all this in my future slides. Okay, so how I got into tech. Well, my tech story, you could say I've been in the tech space since when I was 5, yes, and I've been coding. I got into coding.
So sorry, Samayah. I don't know if there's this noise coming from your probably from your microphone. You may want to check into that. It's interfering with your presentation. Apologies for barging in, but you might have to look into that.
Okay, let me get my headphone.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so let's just hold on for Samayah. Okay, so while we wait for her, I will just reiterate one of the points that Yotsna mentioned, which I was talking about, the fact that you don't need to have 100%, 100% competence in everything that they're asking for before you apply for certain roles. Okay. Well, we still have, while we wait for Samayah, we still have some questions for Yotsna. I don't know if Yotsna is still here with us.
I'm here. Hi.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question, if you don't mind, while we wait for the other speaker. So the question goes this way. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Seems to have lost that.
Oh, the question from Q&A?
Yes,
There
was a question that I saw.
Answered. I think it went into answered because I answered it.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So if we have any questions from YouTube, we can send them in so that Yotsna can answer these questions as well.
So there was a question I think the one that you saw was, what are the other applications of the data? Was that the one?
Yes, yes. I for some reason I can't see it anymore. So
yeah, I can. If you go into Q&A, there is an answer tab and it's there. So basically the question was that I spoke about the climate change solution for everyone.
Yes.
What are the other ways the data can be used?
Okay, hold on, Samayah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hold on, Samayah. Yotsna will finish your question and then we would head back to you. Thank you. Okay, Yotsna, you have the floor.
Yeah, so there are actually many applications for satellite data today. For example, in agriculture, we are helping farmers optimize and in fact monitor their crops. It's useful for some farmers, not every farmers, but we are also trying to help them detect any kind of early warnings for any kind of weeds or diseases, these kind of things. But also for civil governments, for example, to look at deforestation, to have monitor if they need to look at any areas where there is some illegal deforestation happening, or any kind of illegal activity like building roads or mining that is happening that they might not know about. So those are the other things. And even with environmental monitoring, you can use this data to look at contamination in water, soil, just ESG metrics that you are trying to estimate for the company or for the whole country. You can do that quite automatically with satellite data, but not just satellite data. You might need to use machine learning more often than not. And in Arctic zones, it is also used to look at how the ice is melting. Get an estimate of that as well. So that's also something your satellites are used for. Very heavily, it is used for weather predictions and to look at how oceans are changing, again for weather, but also to help navigate ships a little bit. So yeah, there are many applications.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, so I think we're just going to head over to Samayah now. Samayah, are you ready for us?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, it appears that that feedback, we're still having it, so not really sure. And we can't see your screen yet, so you may want to present that.
You can see my screen now.
Okay, yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So, how I got into tech? Well, I've been in tech since when I was 5 years old, and then we had a desktop at home. So this desktop, my mom used to work at there because it seems I had also took her to like a computer school before she got into the uni. So then she used to practice some of those skills she learned, and I just used to watch her. Then later, my dad had always wanted us to get into tech world, so he introduced me. He got me signed up for a class, this 3D, 2D animation class, and I started with those, and also designing. He also signed me up for some design class. So that's why till now I have some little bit of video editing skills and also designing skills. So I was doing that for some while. Then before I started coding at age 10. I started at age 9 to be precise. But when I started around 9 years old, then I wasn't as serious with the coding ecosystem. Then sometimes I would attend classes today, then not go, not watch any course for the next few days, then come back after some weeks. So like I was telling you then, I wasn't as serious with it. But around when I was 10 years old, I watched this CBS's interview of Mark Zuckerberg, that is the founder of Facebook, and like when he shared the story of how he started Facebook, I was ill, and I was like, oh wow, really? So does that mean with coding you can build something like Facebook? Then that's when I made the resolution. I went back to my coding again, and I started watching tutorials. That was the Udemy. So that was how I started my coding journey. Then I started there with when I had a tutor. So that tutor used to take me. He initially started with Python. Then when he saw like I wasn't getting it right, it took me. Started teaching me the Scratch programming, and I just Scratch programming for some time. Then before I moved on to front-end web development, that's HTML, CSS, and that was when I also got like a course in Udemy. So it was that course I used to work. I remember this time.
Hi, Samayah.
Hello.
Yes, sorry, I'm so sorry. That noise is still it's actually quite overpowering, so we're finding it difficult to hear you. We might have to come back to this session. Hello, can you?
Hello.
Yes, this is much better.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to like change the panel in the mute, the mic. I'm supposed to have switched it to the mic. Okay. Is this better now?
Fantastic. All right. So you might just have to start all over again if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thank
no
you.
worries.
Thank you.
Okay, so how I got into tech. Well, I've been in the tech world since when I was age 5. And that was because then we had a desktop at home. And sometimes my mom and dad used to work on it. Because like my mom, before she went to uni, our dad also enrolled her in a computer school. And so when I was around that age, she used to practice some of those skills she learned from the school she attended before she went to uni. She used to practice it. And I just used to watch her. Then my dad had always wanted us, that my sister and I, to always to have this tech skill, some of these basic tech skills. So as we grew up, I think around 6 or 7, not quite sure. So he signed us up for this 3D and 2D animations class. So then we used to do this video editing, this 3D animations, and also design classes. So that's why up to now, I still have some little bit of this video editing and design skills. So we used to do that. Then around when I was 9, I got into the coding world. And well, most times I tell people I started coding around 10 because at the time when I was 9 years old, I started coding. I wasn't serious with it. Sometimes I attended classes today, didn't go to class for the next few days. Then after a few weeks, I go back again. So this continued till when I was 10 years and I watched this interview of Mark Zuckerberg, that is the founder of Facebook. And in this interview, it shared the story of how Facebook came about. And like, that was how I got to know that he was able to build Facebook with coding. And I was like, oh, if you could build that with coding, then that means with coding, I could also build great things. So then I had a tutor who used to take me, I initially started with Python. Then because my tutor found out that I wasn't doing well with that, it told me to start learning Scratch programming. So I was playing around with Scratch, building some basic stuffs before I later got into front-end web development, that is HTML, CSS. Then I got a course. I used to watch a course on Udemy, and like it was this course I used to follow. I used to build projects. Then I also joined like this tech community because like my dad is not into the coding, is not into the coding ecosystem. So sometimes whenever I had problems, I had to check up for solutions myself. Then it just used to encourage me and just motivate me. Okay, so then I joined this tech community, and in this tech community, you have other developers. That is the GDG, because I live in Lagos, Nigeria. So I joined the GDG, the Lagos branch. So there, whenever I had issues, the process of building a project, I used to share them there, and I would get answers and people willing to help. Then I was till the day I watched the video of Tammy Bakshi. Tammy Bakshi is as a then he was 13 and he was interviewed by Google. So I watched the interview. My mom like saw the video that she called me like, Samayah, come and see this 13-year-old boy that has built amazing stuffs and watch his interview with Google. Then I watched this interview and I was like so much inspired because he was 13 then and I was 10 years old. And I was like, oh, since he was 13, I'm 10, just 3 years difference. And at this young age, if you could make something like this, that means if I get to be serious, before that, I could even make something big. And since then, I've always put in my best into learning my coding. And I was able to finish learning my front-end development. I was able to build simple basic websites. Then if I moved on to back-end web development, and that was around during this coronavirus period. So then during the lockdown, I had so much time. I was watching courses on Udemy on the back-end development, but I later, because like my uncle advised me, he was telling me that it seems the web development space, especially in Nigeria, is getting more saturated. And like, what if I thought of another thing I could play around with? And that was when I decided to move into the mobile web development. And for the past I think a year plus now, I've been building simple mobile applications with Flora, and it's just so great. And also, like a year ago, what also led me to wanting to get into the mobile development, to making me learn mobile development, was the fact that I stumbled upon a video while I was searching on YouTube about an 11-year-old girl then. She's now 16. Her name is Gitanjali Rao. And like she solved a global problem then in India with an app that could detect like lead in water and tell them if the water is safe to drink. So like I was like, oh wow, she was able to do that using mobile through the app. So that was why I also said like let me to get into the mobile space. And for like a year plus now, I've been watching videos, I've been reading articles on mobile development, and I've been trying also to create simple applications with the little legend of mobile development I have. And okay, so
thank you, Samayah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to cut in. Unfortunately, we have to go now. So I'll just give you a minute or two to round off your session. We'll be taking questions for you, and we'll be sending them to you so you can answer My sincere
Okay.
apologies. Yeah, we're supposed to move into the breakout session now.
Oh,
Yeah, so let's just
okay.
round up in a minute. Yes.
Okay, then I think I'm just going to jump straight into some of these organizations I belong to, because I know some of you might be wondering, how is this possible? Well, to an organization I belong to. Okay, so around during the coronavirus period, I got on Twitter and like I was doing some of my project works, and then that was where I met this girl sitting in front beside me, Naomi, and both of us, we used to attend hackathons together. And whenever we attended hackathons, sometimes like you need to form a group of 4, a team of 4, a team of 5, and whenever we started off for teenage girls, we didn't see any. So then we thought of, this is a major problem we're actually facing about like the percentage of girls who are in the tech industry. And we thought of, how could we solve this? Then that was when we decided to come up with a community, build a community that's going to bring together different girls that have interest in STEM. And that was how the Girls Techie came about, which is organization, a non-for-profit organization that is empowering, connecting, and inspiring young girls in STEM across Africa. Another organization I also belong to is also Gen Z Techies, which is an organization that connects teen techies across Nigeria. And okay, so I'm just gonna stop here for now.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow,
these also,
okay.
earlier she said I'm a STEM promoter, I'm science technology, and this is it, social sciences. So because when I also watched the video of Gitanjali Rao, she was actually able to use science and artificial intelligence to solve that problem. And I was like, the science, the rate at which we embrace science, especially in my country, Nigeria, is low. And I actually attend a science academy. That means a school for students who are interested in sciences only. So my classmate and I, we thought of, why not we create a YouTube channel and we create like simple science videos. So we make Nigerian kids like me know that science is fun and also make them embrace it. And that's how social sciences came about. Then this one of the places I've spoken, that was last year, Data Science Nigeria. And this year is, also I'm a digital literacy advocate, because if you look at it in Nigeria, in a country like Nigeria that I belong to, the rate at which people are digital literate is actually low. So I joined an organization last year, and African Digital Upskill Initiative. Okay, so since there's not much time, okay.
I'm so sorry, but fantastic. That was what I was going to ask, how we can connect with you, but you have proactively put that on your screen. So I would advise participants to just take a screenshot of her links, and can connect with Samayah later, ask her questions. She'll be more than willing to answer them. Thank you so much. I'm personally inspired by your story, and I know that the sky is just the beginning. I can't wait to hear, many more amazing projects that you'll be working on in future. All right. So now we've come to the end of our success stories. It has been highly impactful. Now we have to move into our breakout sessions, and we're a little bit behind schedule, so we need to do that immediately. Gigi has so graciously, put out the announcement in the chat room. So you need to leave the main session. Once you do that, you'll be taken to the lobby on Zoom, and then you can join the various breakout rooms available. So please do that immediately and join the breakout session of your choice. Thank you very much. And once we're done with the breakout session, it's just for 20 minutes. We would love to have you back for the main session, so we can have, the final main session for this webinar. Thank you so much. If you have any questions for Samayah, please put them in the Q&A section. We'll get them across to her and give you a feedback. Thank you. Okay, Bukola is asking for the link to the breakout session. So you need to leave this main session. Immediately you leave, you'll be taken to the lobby, and then you can join the breakout sessions. I hope that explains it. If you understood what I said, you just give me a thumbs up so I know that I communicated. All right, thank you. Okay, Modeshaya is asking for the link. So you need to leave the main session. You need to leave the main session. Once you leave, you'll be taken to the log.
Just drop a message.
Okay.
everyone. If you can hear me, please join the breakout rooms. You have to leave this main room and then you'll be taken to the lobby. From there, you'll be able to join all the 10 tracks we have available. The mentors are already there. They're waiting for you, please. Thank you.
Okay, Grace has her hand raised. Grace, I don't know if you need any help.
Grace, if you're able to speak, please, you can now. I can answer your question.
Please, I can't get the link to the breakout group. I can't get the link to the breakout group.
Okay, so there is no link to the breakout group.
There's no link on the general platform, which will have clicked to go to our respective groups.
No, there is no link. You just have to leave this one and then you'll be taken to the lobby where you'll see all the displayed breakout rooms available. So you just have to leave this one.
I have to mute this one?
Yes, and then you'll be taken to the lobby where you can find the breakout rooms.
I also posted a direct link to the lobby in the chat section. So you can just click on that and it will take you directly to the lobby where you can choose your breakout session.
Okay, that works too. Does anyone have any other questions?
This is something I cannot just leave. Well, I can't still join this. I think I have to back up.